News, views, voices of the global Indian community. India abroad.
The Shapurji Pallonji Group, comprising Shapurji Pallonji Company Private Limited, a construction conglomerate, Afcons Infrastructure Limited, an infrastructure major, Sterling and Wilson Electricals, Shapurji Pallonji Infrastructure and similar companies, is more than 158 years old. While under the dynamic leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, India is making great strides in infrastructure in the last 10 years. It has been a privilege to associate ourselves in all the programs of the government in India and abroad. To cite one instance in India, the Bharat Mandapam, which is the pride of Prime Minister Modi, and the Swaminarayan Temple in Abu Dhabi, which again was inaugurated by Prime Minister Modi, both happen to have been constructed by Shapurji Pallonji, which is a matter of great privilege for us. Both were completed in the face of great odds, but we did a fabulous job of that, and that we are grateful to the government for having helped us do that. India has made phenomenal progress in infrastructure. The Chenab Railway Bridge, which has put India firmly on the map of global infrastructure companies. The Kolkata Metro project under the sea tunnel, first time in India under the Hooghly River. The Atal Tunnel, and several such projects are instances of the Shapurji Pallonji's groups through its infrastructure of Afghan's infrastructure, participation in India's infrastructure development. Prior to the Jammu-Udhampur project, which again is a really challenging one, an engineering feat, was also completed by us under the NHAI's programs. This is what we have done in India. In India, Shapurji Pallonji itself has constructed the head offices of Reserve Bank of India, State Bank of India, Bank of India, several such New India Assurance Company, several such institutions. That took us to Africa because the government of India wanted us to help them in taking our engineering prowess to Africa. Our foray in Ghana started with the construction of the Presidential Office of Ghana, which figures in the world's top 10 presidential offices even today. It's a fantastically conceived project. Then we went to construct the Gambian National Assembly, the parliament of that country. The IT Park of Mauritius, which was listed among the top 10 was the most intelligent building in 2005. Having done them, we also got the opportunity, with the assistance of the government of India's Exim Bank bias credit, to construct the Ghana Railway Project, Tema Pakadam Railway Project, which has been more than 99% completed, slated for inauguration soon. The Lusaka City Decongestion Project, with which my colleague Sahil Patel has been associated, was also an instance of how Indian financial assistance and our group company Afghan's Infrastructure Limited's infrastructure capabilities could entirely change the landscape of Lusaka city in Zambia. Several water projects in Tanzania, Zimbabwe and other countries are indeed doing a lot to improve the living conditions of people in Africa, in all of which the government of India's assistance and the role of Shapurji Pallonji and Afghan's infrastructure has been phenomenal. Not only that, even in solar projects in Niger and far-flung countries, Sterling and Wilson Electrical, our group company, has done a fantastic job. Today, we are far beyond that. There are several financing agencies of the globe, UKEF, Japanese aid, etc., are all looking forward to collaborating with the Shapoorji Pallonji Group companies to see to it that good projects are executed in Africa. An immediate instance of that will be, of course, this is without any assistance from any external agency, the construction of Africa Exim Bank project in Harare, which again my colleague Sahil Patel is engaged in. We hope that these projects, along with our attempts to get into mining related infrastructure projects in Africa, will take Indian construction and infrastructure companies multiple notches up in Africa and in other parts of the developing world. We are also doing the Maldives, Greater Maldives connectivity project under the Government of India's lines of credit. Several such instances are there. Scope is huge. Our invitation is that development finance institutions from the US and elsewhere should collaborate with India and especially with my group to see to it that more such projects are executed in the quickest possible time in Africa and elsewhere to ensure that the role that we probably, these nations lost out to China in the last 2 decades can be regained for mutual benefit. Oh, phenomenally. Today, if you go to Ghana, any president there, whichever party he belongs to, takes pride in saying, when I go there, I'm always privileged to hear from them, we are under your roof. I'm told that when President Barack Obama visited Ghana, he was shown the president, oh, an Indian company has constructed this. So these are all things that really enhance the prestige of Indian construction companies. Today, if you look about quality, African nations look more to India and to my group companies rather than to other countries' companies, because we have been in a position to prove that we can do it at lower cost and of greater quality than other nations. All this has collaborated with their progress also. Not just that, in every nation like this, voluntarily they come up and say that engineers from Ghana or from Zambia and all, or workers say, Indian companies like Shapoorji Pallonji and Afghans involve us. They impart learning to us. We are able to learn a lot about construction and all. This does not happen when we work for Chinese or other companies. This is something which is going to stand us in good stead. I'll tell you where it will help us a lot. Healthcare is a sector where Africa lags behind a lot. Top quality hospitals can be constructed with Indian construction technology and maybe with healthcare equipment from US or other countries, if there is financial assistance available from here, can be run by qualified doctors from India or even elsewhere on a 5 or 10 year running contract, with which we will be in a position to uplift the healthcare capabilities of these countries. This is something, I suppose we are a decade late, but we should be taking it up immediately. This is an area where I expect that the US and other countries should come forward to collaborate with India. Well, I would like to avoid direct comments. I must say that we are much better than them in quality. We treat people well. We impart learning to them. And we take up corporate social responsibility activities on a large scale. Wherever Shapoorji Pallonji Group companies go, they give something to the society which is remembered by them much beyond the period of construction of these projects, which means that we take pride, without naming countries, we can say we take pride in our ability to involve the local population in the construction and in uplifting the quality of life of those areas where we go for working. The Indian government has done a lot by way of lines of credit and another program called the buyer's credit. Unfortunately, that is not extended for certain reasons beyond the realm of capability or possibility of Indian government anymore. Unfortunately, COVID brought in a lot of difficulties to African countries, which forced them into default-like situations. Given banking norms and central banking norms, it has not been possible for the Exim Bank of India to continue this. We will have to look for effective substitutes with collaboration from other countries also, so that we can find proper financial substitutes and execute projects of quality and great scope to improve. It is not just for the African country benefit, it is benefit for everyone concerned. If value addition is done in these countries on minerals, it is certainly going to improve how developed countries are also able to take advantage of this. By setting up manufacturing bases in these countries, developed countries will only gain, not lose. As I mentioned in the beginning, it's under the Prime Minister under the dynamic leadership of Prime Minister Modi, India has made huge progress in infrastructure, road connectivity, rail connectivity. Each of them we have also played a role. Connecting far-flung areas in northeast, Jammu Kashmir. Every one of these areas, India has made great progress. It will certainly stand Indian manufacturing industry also in good stead as time goes on. It should certainly ensure that India moves to the top 3 nations category, all this infrastructure development, and we are proud that we have been able to play a part in all of these. If you look at it, there will be dreaming too much, but I will say that if I say from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, the time of travel must be cut short by more than half. If that happens, or from, let's say, Mumbai to Kolkata or Agartala, again similar thing happens. If such a thing is achieved, I am sure that trade and commerce will flourish. Plus, the kind of port connectivity that has been achieved through Myanmar, which will ensure that the disconnect between the states of northeast will vanish, goods and services will travel faster, commerce will flourish, and all these areas will develop. I see a lot of potential in port development further. It's already done, but a lot more can be done. We'll have to counteract the influence of our northern neighbor in taking control of ports in neighboring areas, so that Indian trade is not put at a disadvantage. That is number one. I also see that whatever progress has been achieved in railways can be taken even a couple of notches up. I recently had the privilege of traveling by the Vande Bharat in South. I was quite impressed by the quality improvement that has taken place in railways. Well, there is always scope for progress. So something pretty good has happened. More reach can be achieved. I also see that manufacturing industry should certainly go up, not just the services sector. For that, infrastructure development is sine qua non, which is already happening, which should be taken further up. These are things that can certainly help improve India's economic status much further. I think, Indian infrastructure capabilities are certainly no less than Chinese. It's a matter of scale, which we cannot really do much about. But on the quality front, we are certainly superior. By helping Indian companies to go farther and farther in geographically, Indian government will only be helping itself. I mentioned a little earlier the healthcare sector. If Indian companies construct and Indian healthcare operators take up the operation of hospitals in remote areas of Africa, that will certainly establish Indian presence in those areas for lifelong, which is something one should be looking forward to. So once if you are able to prove yourself for 5 years by running hospitals successfully in those areas, you are there to stay for long. Africans or other developing countries won't forget it. I must also mention that one should not restrict oneself to Africa alone. Latin America again throws a lot of scope. So do the Central Asian countries. In every one of these areas, if Indian companies can be assisted to take up progress with Government of India's financial assistance program, I think it is a win-win for India. Here, if other developed countries like the US or Japan or UK join us, it is a win-win-win for everyone concerned. I wish to say that there is scope for improvement in the outlook of these countries in trusting and going along with Indian companies. When you have seen something happen in front of your eyes, quality projects come up in developing countries, executed by Indian companies, you must trust them to be with your partners and make more finance available and let's say credit guarantees available to see to it that similar such projects are proliferating across Africa and elsewhere. The group is making great strides. It had gone through difficulties in COVID, and there are certain things beyond our control which had happened, but it has been able to counter them and come out of difficulties. And there are areas like oil and gas where Indian companies could never have dreamt of setting up a floating production storage offloading vessel, FPSO, which is the last word in oil and gas. The Shapoorji Pallonji Group owns 4 such FPSOs in India, originally with the collaboration of a Malaysian company, today on our own. So, sky is the limit for progress with Shapoorji Pallonji Group, including Afcon's infrastructure and India in general, for taking up activities elsewhere. To drive home the point repeatedly, there is a lot to gain for America and other developed countries by collaborating in this cause. Nothing to lose.